Okay, so today what we are going to learn is on Db2 LUW how to restore a 32-bit backup onto a 64-bit instance and how to restore a 64-bit backup onto a 32-bit machine. Now, or 32-bit instance. Now, I'm going to take you to this IBM article. I'm going to paste this links into the video description. So I'll take you to this IBM article, which is nothing but a knowledge center for version 11.1, which is the latest Db2 LUW version. It says you can restore a database from backup image taken on 32-bit level to a 64-bit level, but not vice versa. So what we are going to do is like we'll try to restore a 32-bit onto 64-bit and 64-bit into 32-bit, and we'll see why IBM says not vice versa. Okay, I don't know the answer. What I am trying to show you here is like we will be able to successfully restore a 64-bit onto 32-bit and we will be able to access the tables. So why IBM says it's not possible, it's a puzzle to me. I'm also going to point you to another article uh, by Amber Crooks here, which says that you can restore a 64-bit into 32-bit instance. It's not going to be a problem, but IBM says it's not possible. Now we'll Okay, so now one thing that we need to understand is like when you're restoring a backup from a different bit onto a different bit, you have to understand that a backup is, if it is compressed, yeah, then you have to specify a compression library. If it is not compressed, no special action is required. Okay, so we will try to see a scenario where the backup is compressed and where the backup is not compressed. So if the backup is not compressed, all that you have to do is like onto a machine, we have to take the backup of 32-bit database, copy it onto the 64-bit instance, restore it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to define your table spaces, containers, redirect, restore. You don't have to do it. Just copy, provided the paths exist. The path that you have defined on your 32-bit machine, if those paths exist on 64-bit machine, you are good to go. If the backup is compressed, it's still the same, but accept that you have to specify the compression library. If you don't specify the compression library, you will not be able to restore the 32-bit backup onto 64-bit. Similarly, for 64-bit to 32-bit. Okay, steps remain the same irrespective of whether you are going from 32-bit to 64-bit or 64-bit to 32-bit. Just a difference, if the backup is not compressed, you are good to go. You just take a backup, you restore it. If the backup is compressed, you have to specify the compression library. While we are doing this, I will get rid of this images. Okay, so while we are doing this, what we'll do is like we'll see if there are databases already created. If there are, we will drop this because yeah, there are two databases. So I'll force all applications. I don't know whether I am connected actually, so test 32 and try to drop. So here we go. Now that we have dropped both of the databases, so you see system database directory is currently empty, which means I have dropped both of the databases. Similarly on 64-bit instance, yes, there are two databases. What we'll do is like we'll get rid of this and we'll get rid of this as well. Okay, so both of these databases are clear. Now the point that you have to understand here is like this: there is a white screen, white terminal, and the black terminal. The white terminal corresponds to a 64-bit instance, while a black terminal corresponds to 32-bit. I'll repeat: a black terminal refers to 32-bit instance, a white terminal refers to 64-bit instance. We now don't have any databases, we have just got rid of them. Okay, so there is no databases. So what we will do, we'll create two databases on 32-bit machine. So let me prove this again. On 32-bit machine, so this is a 32-bit machine, we'll create a database called test32. Okay, so 32 test32. Let me clear this again, do the Db2 level. Okay, and on 64-bit machine, I'll create a database called test64. Okay, so once we created the databases, what I will do is like I will create a one non-automatic or one automatic storage table space and one non-automatic storage or DMS. Okay, so TS1 will be automatic storage, another one will be TS2 which will be non-automatic storage. Then I'll try to run one sample script. All that it does is like it creates one table called T1 in TS1, another table called T2 in TS2. It will try to insert some records into TS1, insert some records into TS2. So because the script is going to take some time, I will run this particular script. Okay, so the database is created, so we'll just, okay, so let's run the script. Okay, so you see I have created an automatic storage and another table space which is a DMS in test32. Similarly, on to 64-bit machine we'll do the same thing. Okay, the database is created, so and the script is going to take some time, so let it run. Okay, so script is running here, so it's inserting some bits of records. While it is doing this bit, I'll go to the next section. So what you need to understand is like you cannot restore a Windows backup on Linux or AIX and vice versa. Onto Unix also, it's not like that you can restore any of the Unix backup onto other machine. No, that's not the correct thing. On Unix machines also, you have to take care of endianness. Now, all the Unix machines are divided into two endians. One is big endian and one is little endian. So AIX, HP, Unix is big endian, while Solaris, Linux on Intel processors or AMD is little endian. So what you mean here is like you can restore a big endian into big endian, little endian into little endian, but not vice versa, which means an AIX backup can be restored onto Solaris on Spark, but it cannot be restored on Solaris on x64. But Solaris x64 can be restored on Linux. Now we talked about compression library. When you are trying to restore a 32-bit backup onto 64-bit or vice versa, you have to specify the compression library, and compression library varies based on the platform. So for AIX it is different, for Solaris it is different. When you install Db2, the compression library is automatically installed for you. Okay, so the scripts are running. Okay, my CPU is getting hot right now because there are two sessions and I'm inserting huge amount of record, not huge actually, 4000, but it's a while loop, so it's inserting one by one. So the record seems to be have inserted into the first one. The second one is still has not, but let's wait for it. Okay, once that has been done, we will actually take a look into the table spaces, the table sizes. Let's prove that the 4001 records. So yeah, this particular script is completed. So what I'll do, I'll run one script called tab size SQL. So here you see there are two tables called T1 and T2. Both tables are of the same size. The reason of that is because I have inserted exactly same amount of record, 4001. Okay, so it is that now that T1 is in tablespace 1, T2 is in tablespace 2. I also told you that TS1 is automatic storage enabled, while TS2 is not automatic storage enabled. It's a DMS. So the point that I would like to make here is like irrespective of whether it is automatic storage or DMS, the size of the table remains the same. Okay, so the size of table does not depend on whether it's automatic storage or DMS. The size of the table will remain the same. Now what we will do here is we will try to compress this particular table which is in automatic storage. So we will compress it, reorg it, and we'll check the size. The size should change. So we will try to compress this. Okay, so I'll clear the screen once again. Alter is done, reorg is done, and we'll check. Now you see previously we had both the tables of 1024. After compressing and reorging, now the T1 is of 896 because that is one which we have compressed. T2 is not compressed, so it's still at the same. Okay, so this proves that after compression we'll see some savings at least. Okay, now what we would do is we will also try to do the same thing here. Okay, so here also you see there are two tables, T1 and T2. Both are 1024. The T1 is in tablespace TS1, T2 is in tablespace TS2. TS1 is automatic storage, yes. TS2 is DMS. Okay, now here also we'll try to compress it, reorg it and check this size. Okay, so yes, we have tried to compress it, we have reorged it and we have checked, and again it is changed to 896. So now one table is compressed. So what we would do now, the next step is taking the backup. So what we would do here is we will try to take a offline backup. There are no backups on this particular path. Total file 0. I'll clear the screen, do ls minus l. There are no files here. I'll connect reset and I'll try to take a backup. So the backup has been taken, and this is a 32-bit machine. Again, I'll repeat, a 32. The black terminal is 32-bit machine. So this is on black machine or on black terminal on 32-bit machine. We have created a database called test32 and we have taken a backup of it. Now I'll go to white machine. I'll clear the screen. I'll do the Db2 level. It's a 64-bit, so white's terminal is 64-bit. I'll try to do the same thing. So I'll try to take a backup of it. Okay. So, and I'll show you that there was no backup in this particular directory. Okay. So the recent backup 726. So that is the recent backup that we have taken. So, and this is a non-compressed backup because we have not specified the compress option. So what we will do now is we will transfer. So what we have to do, we have to restore 64-bit backup onto 32-bit. So I have to transfer this backup onto a 64-bit machine. So I'll do that. Okay. So here we go. So if you see now onto, I'll clear the screen again. I'll show you Db2 level. Okay, so this is a 64-bit machine and we have now two backup images here. One is 32-bit backup and one is 64-bit backup. This 32-bit backup was taken onto 32-bit machine. So I'll prove that it was. So the timestamp of it was 652 and that has been copied here, and you see the timestamp 652 is here right now. Okay, so what we will do is will also prove here. So I'll clear this. So this is 32-bit machine and I will try to do the ls minus lrt, and you see it 64-bit backup is been copied here. So, and this timestamp is 726. So let's prove that this is the same backup 726. So this is this 64-bit backup 726 that has been copied onto this machine now. So on 32-bit machine we have copied a 64-bit backup. So we'll try to restore from this particular backup. So since there is only one backup image for that particular database, okay, I don't have to specify the taken at, and since I'm already in that directory, I don't have to specify from as well. So a simple command. So let's see that there is only one database called test32. Okay, I knew there is some spelling mistake. Okay, so there is only one database called test32. So I'll clear the screen and I'll try to restore db test64. Okay, while the restore has been completed. So now what we will do is like we will connect to that particular database. We'll see if all the table spaces are normal. 00, 00, ts1, ts2 all are normal. Obviously this will be both normal, and what we will also do is like we'll make sure that we have 4001 records in t1, which is in, yeah, there are 4001 records and there are 4001 records. So looks like we have been able to. So now I'll show you list db directory. So we have 32-bit database and 64-bit, and this 64-bit database ls minus lrt, and this backup was restored using a pretty simple command, restore db test64. So this particular backup, which was from this machine 726 that was copied onto this particular 32-bit machine, and we have been able to restore. If you see here, I have not redefined any paths. I have not try to do the redirected restore. The concept is pretty simple. The paths, both machines have got the similar paths. I have created exactly same file system, so that was not required. This all that I had to do is just copy the backup image from 64-bit onto 32-bit. So now what we will do is like we will do the same. Now I already copied the 32-bit backup onto 64-bit machine. 64-bit machine. I'll show you that it is the same backup. Oh God, I think that would have gone because of this select star. Okay, now I can't go back to that level, but yeah, so that was copied from here. So what I will do now, I'll try to restore this since in that particular, and I'll try to prove that there is no database called test32. So there is only 64. So since I'm on in that particular path and there is only one backup image that matches that particular database, I don't have to specify taken at, neither I have to specify from. So I'll just say restore db test32 and we should be able to restore it. Should be fine. Okay, so now that we have restored, we'll just make sure. Okay, so the test restore is completed. We'll make sure that all the table spaces are normal. Yes, ts1 and ts2 both are in normal. And what we'll also do is like we'll try to select from, this time I'll not do select stars, from T1 which had 4001 records, and I'll also select from T2. So you see we are able to restore a 32-bit backup onto 64-bit machine and 64-bit backup onto 32-bit machine. There was no problem. I am a bit confused here as why this IBM article says but not vice versa. So it is possible to restore 32-bit onto 64-bit, but it is not possible vice versa. Why IBM says it, I'm not aware. Your comments are welcome. So now that we have actually restored a non-compressed backup, we will see what we have to do to restore a compressed backup. So what we'll do, we'll get rid of both of these backups because let's start with a clean one. Okay, so all the databases has been created, everything has been done, so I'll not repeat all of the steps. Only thing that I'll do is now I'll try to take a compressed backup again. Okay, so I'll get rid of these backups as well. Okay, so see here I'm specifying the compress option. Okay, so looks like okay, the backup has been successful. I'll try to do this same thing here as well. I'll try to clear the screen, try to take a backup, a compressed backup, and I'll try to copy it. Now I'll try to copy the other backup. Okay, clear the screen, ls-l. If you see here, this is a compressed backup. The backup is significantly smaller now. Okay, but if you see, even though we have 4001 records, there are only two tables, T1 and T2. The database was created fresh, and I exactly created two tables, T1 and T2, and we actually took a backup of 32-bit machine and 64-bit machine database, and you see there is a significant size difference, which means a 64-bit database is slightly bigger in size than a 32-bit. It may be because of RIDs, I'm not sure. Now what we are going to do here is we will actually drop this test64 that we created, and here we'll try to restore this test32. Okay, so here we go. So now we have the backup image with us on to a 64-bit machine of 32-bit, and this is a compressed image. Similarly, on here we have on to a 32-bit machine. So onto a 32-bit machine we have a backup image of 64-bit, but this is compressed. What we will do is we'll try to restore the backup. we'll try to restore the backup, but we'll not specify the compression library, and it should actually fail. So here what we are going to do, we are going to try to restore a 64-bit backup onto a 32-bit machine, and this should fail. Okay, so the reason why it is failing is because it says on target, yeah, on target, which is a 32-bit machine, you are trying to restore a 64-bit backup. So, and it is failing. The reason of that is pretty simple. In the backup image, there is a compression library. This particular backup image is of 64-bit machine, and in this there is a 64-bit compression library. This is a 32-bit instance. So when it is trying to restore from this particular backup image, it is trying to use the compression library which is stored in this particular backup image. This particular library is not valid for this particular bit size, and that is why it is failing. So the solution to this is this particular part. When you actually take a compressed backup, you have to specify the compression library. So I have already prepared the command, so I'll try to run this command, and all that command is doing, if you see, the command remains same up to here. It's just specifying the compression library. So what this command is telling, instead of using the compression library from the backup image, try to use the compression library from the installation. Okay, so this particular library is already been there into Db2 installations binaries. Okay, it's already been installed. So we are not going to use the backup from the library from the backup image. We are going to use it from the installation library wherever we have installed the Db2. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so the restore has been completed. Let's try to connect to this particular database. Let's again do simple sanity check. All table spaces are normal. Yes, both the table spaces are normal, and we will try to select from those two tables that we know. One table is compressed. Sorry, why am I creating? Okay, one table is compressed. This is the compressed table, and this is in automatic storage. This table is not compressed, and this is in DMS. And we are able to see that when we restore a 64-bit, and we are connected to 64-bit database restored on test 64, restored on 32-bit machine. Okay, so this is a 32-bit machine, and we are able to see 4001. So when you take a compressed backup, yeah, the point that I wanted to try show you is like when you take a compressed backup and you don't specify the compression library, if you don't specify the compression library, it's going to fail. And this is exactly what happened here. It failed, and the solution was pretty simple. We just have to specify the compression library, which I have specified, and the restore command seems to have worked fine. We have been able to restore, we have been able to connect to that particular database. The table spaces are all normal. The records that we inserted 4001 in T1 and T2, they have appeared again. So and we are able to restore 64-bit database backup onto 32-bit. Works fine. Now we'll try to do the same thing onto the 64-bit machine, but here we are trying to restore a 32-bit backup. So again we'll do the same thing, and we should see that we are failing. Okay, so let's see if there is a database called test32. No, because I dropped it, so it's not there. And this is a 32-bit backup image. Okay, again smaller in size, this is a bigger in size. So what we will do is like I'll try to restore db test32 on, okay, let's prove that this is a 64-bit. So this is a 64-bit machine, and I'm trying to restore 32-bit backup, and this should fail. Okay, so this is failing. The reason why it is failing is it says the target is 64-bit machine. So this is the target, which is a target is 64-bit machine, and you are trying to restore a 32-bit backup onto a 64-bit backup. Again, the concept is same. While it is restoring a 32-bit backup onto 64-bit machine, it is trying to use the compression library which is stored in this backup, and that particular compression library is not valid for 64-bit instance. So what we have to do, same thing again, we have to specify the compression library. So when we specify the compression library, I'll clear the screen again. Okay, so I'll show you that it failed actually. So this failed, and when actually I specify the compression library, this should not take much time, probably a few seconds. Yep, done. Connect to test32 list table spaces all should be normal, so looks like all are normal, and we had few records into C1, nothing but sorry T1, which is 4001, they are there, and T2, they are there. So again, if you see, I did not do any redirected restore, I did not specify any container paths, I did not change them, nothing I had did. Okay, the concept is pretty simple. IBM allows you to restore the 64-bit backup onto 32-bit instance, 32-bit backup onto 64-bit instance. You don't have to do anything, just you have to take care when the solution to restore command is in the whether the backup is compressed or not. So that based on whether the backup is compressed or not, you might have to specify the compression library. Again, the compression library varies based on the operating system. So this is the list of the compression library, and also the whether you can restore a backup from AIX to Solaris or from Solaris to Linux. That depends on the Indianness of the system, and all the Unix systems are divided into two Indians: Big Indian and Little Indian. I'm still like to pose this question. IBM says that it is not possible to restore a 32-bit backup. It is possible to restore a 32-bit backup onto 64-bit, but not vice versa. I have been able to do it successfully in my environment. This is version 10.1 that we are running, Enterprise Edition. This is a trial version. So this is an Advanced Enterprise Server Edition. This is a trial version. Okay, so Advanced Enterprise Server Edition version 10.1, and it says that it is not possible. We have seen that we have restored both 32 to 64, 64 to 34. We have been able to access the database. We have been able to access the data as well. So the question would be, if anybody can explain in the comment section, that would be great. I would like to revise my video based on the comments, but as of now, what I feel is this statement is not correct, or if it is correct, there is some other meaning to it that I am not able to understand as of now. But from the test that I have done, it is completely possible to restore a 32-bit onto 64-bit and 64-bit onto 32-bit. Hope you liked my video. Do pass some comments, and thanks for watching.